Welcome and thank you all for standing by. At this time, I would like to remind participants that your line will be in a listen only. If you would like to ask a question during the question and answer sessions, you may do so by pressing star 1. Today's call is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. And now I will turn the call over to Mr. Jared Liu.
Great, thank you, and thanks everyone for joining us. Sorry we're getting started late. Sorry for the hiccup with the meeting number, but obviously anyone who's on here has at least dialed into the phone portion correctly, so you can hear the audio. And if you're not on the online portion, the meeting number is now P as in Paul, H as in Henry, 621-3958. So if you want to go out there, everything else is the same. The passcode is still the same, and the link is otherwise the same. So just update that meeting number, and you should be in. So sorry again about that. You are on the NeighborWoods Month 101 webcast, and thanks very much for joining us. This is a program of the Alliance for Community Trees, and we encourage anyone who's not a member to please consider joining. Today's call is sponsored by the Home Depot Foundation and the USDA Forest Service. The Brown Bag Lunch Series is a monthly webcast held at the lunch hour. The trainings leverage local successes by amplifying to a larger audience 2 model organizations, methods, materials, and approaches. Sessions are planned to last no more than 1 hour, with 2 presenters speaking on the same topic from slightly different perspectives, each for 10 to 15 minutes, followed by 10 to 15 minutes of questions and answers. Today's session is approved by the ISA for 1 CEU and by SAF for 1 CFE Category 1. If you've not already given me your certification number, you can email me after this session. Alternatively, most state landscape architecture boards require only a certificate of completion, which I can provide upon request after as well. So today's session is NeighborWoods Month 101. National NeighborWoods Month is a united campaign to celebrate trees and raise awareness for the value of urban forests. During October, tree groups across the U.S. will engage thousands of volunteers in stewardship events and educational programs, communicating a shared message that trees are essential to the health and livability of communities. Last year, NeighborWoods Month staged 235 events in 62 cities, engaging over 15,000 volunteers in hands-on service to care for city forests. This special webcast explores how NeighborWoods Month can help you unite local efforts under a national banner to gain greater attention and leverage resources, and highlight this year's event tools and how to use them with your community partners to expand your city's celebration of NeighborWoods Month. Our first speaker today is Carrie Smith. She is the Assistant Director of Community Greening Stewardship at Parks and People Foundation. Carrie oversees 2 citywide community greening grant programs and manages large and small greening initiatives throughout Baltimore, from stormwater management retrofits and vacant lots to supporting state-driven schoolyard asphalt removal projects. Carrie holds a BS in Business Management from Northern Arizona University, and her professional experience is in national service. Prior to joining the Parks and People staff, Carrie managed service learning for AmeriCorps' National Civilian Community Corps' Northeast region, working to enhance projects throughout 10 northeastern states. Carrie is a member of the American Community Gardening Association and holds a Master Gardener certification through the University of Maryland's Cooperative Extension Service. And we turn it over to Carrie.
Thank you, Jared. Good afternoon. As Jared said, my name is Carrie, and I work for the Parks and People Foundation in Baltimore. Parks and People is an Alliance for Community Trees member. And in 2007, I want to tell you a little bit about how we utilize the NeighborWoods program and the tools available through NeighborWoods to really enhance the tree planting efforts that we did in Baltimore in 2007. We started discussing in the spring of last year how we wanted to best utilize the efforts of existing nonprofits in the city to support the city's urban tree canopy goal. Baltimore has a goal to double the tree canopy over 30 years. That goal was set in 2006, so it's about 28 years now. And we decided we wanted to partner with Herring Run Watershed Association and Jones Falls Watershed Association. The 3 of us all have been planting trees and caring for the trees in the city for quite a while. And so we figured we would just combine our efforts and kind of support each other, and we could achieve much more together than any of us could do on our own. So we wanted to see how that would look to do an official partnership to fundraise together and do a targeted neighborhoods campaign. And the benefit of it was doing this under the umbrella of NeighborWoods is that each of our organizations is very unique in our capacity and how we plant trees and where we plant trees. So it allowed for us to all kind of do things in the way that we were able to do it, but have this neutral umbrella, NeighborWoods, which could tie us all together. So it wasn't there wasn't any territoriality about it. It was very neutral, and it was a broad enough theme that it really worked for us in our tree planting. So our plan was to do one large kickoff event together in the beginning of October, and then each of the three organizations would commit to do a minimum number of smaller independent events throughout the month under the umbrella of neighborhoods, calling it a NeighborWoods project. So we luckily found a site that was right on the Herring Run and Jones Falls watershed line, which was kind of a miracle, which would be a challenge to do it again because the two watershed associations are obviously geographically committed to where they do their work and where they invest their efforts. There was a Johns Hopkins University administrative building right about at the borderline, so both of them could justify, putting their efforts into this very large kickoff project. It worked out perfectly for us. So we decided to do this as our kickoff event and really put a lot of effort to do a large impact project, and then each of us would track and keep data on the remaining projects that we did involving tree planting and tree care throughout the month, and then report it together and see what that looked like, if we put all of our information together and all of our efforts together, if we could leverage each other's work and really show that together we could achieve a significant amount more. We also decided to maintain a common calendar of events that we could drive everybody to who was looking for a volunteer project or ways to get involved in tree planting in the fall of '07. We kept a calendar of events with all of the events that all three organizations were doing throughout the month, and that was a page off of Parks and People's website. Supporting partners were, of course, Alliance for Community Trees. There's a picture of Jared planting a tree there. Johns Hopkins University, which is where they were the property owners for the kickoff site, and volunteer groups from throughout the city, the community college nearby. There was some athletic teams from Johns Hopkins and some students from a local elementary school. And then Baltimore City was heavily involved in all of the smaller independent projects that each of us did in city parks and any street tree planting projects. They were very supportive of those efforts. The division of labor, we laid that out pretty early on, and it worked pretty well. Parks and People were the largest of the three organizations, so we kind of coordinated a lot of the work, submitted the grant application, headed up the grant writing. Everybody contributed to the details of the NeighborWoods grant that we applied to, and we operated as the fiscal agent for the funds that we received for projects. Herring Run Watershed Association, they did a lot of the logistical planning for the kickoff event, and it laid out all the trees and made determinations on the species that were going to be planted that day, and they coordinated the purchasing of the trees that we planted at the kickoff event. And Jones Falls Watershed Association really headed up the volunteer recruitment and management, which was a big task for that first day. Shared tasks, we pooled together the tools and equipment that we each had. We all helped, of course, with the site preparation and cleanup. We have some small grade equipment that we use to prep things. We all, after the event, took on the maintenance. We shared that between us. And of course, like I said, we each committed to doing a minimum number of smaller projects throughout the month of October and into the beginning of November. The shared calendar of events, we had that off the Parks and People website, and we worked in our advertising to really drive people to this shared calendar. So whenever we had an event that we were advertising on our own, we would make sure to include the URL to this website so people could see the other events that each of us were doing for the rest of the month. The results after we tallied it all up, we started maybe the end of September, beginning of October, and went into the beginning of November. 1,500 trees planted, 31 events between us, 314 people engaged, over 1,000 volunteer hours, and leveraged over $35,000 worth of cash, which was really great to see that in numbers. The benefits, again, it really demonstrated very clearly how much greater our impact was together than each of us could do individually, which I know everybody knows, but it was right there in writing, and we had to turn in our grant report, so we had to put it all together. Our greater combined capacity made it easier to do a much larger project. We all do large projects, but it's a lot easier when you have people to share the duties and somebody to do the volunteer management and somebody else to do the site planning. It was a lot easier on all of our organizations. And it really strengthened the existing partnerships that we had. It gave us an opportunity to work together successfully, which of course, it's always good to do that, and it makes us more eager to work together in the future, seeing how successful this partnership was. Challenges, media is always tough. We try to do radio spots, and when you have 10 seconds to talk about a project, you can't really mention all the different organizations as well as the funders. So we really used that website to try to drive people there so that then they could see everybody's logo and all the information, and that really showed everybody that was involved in the project. Very circumstantial details. You can see people with the picks at the project site breaking up the soil. That's always a challenge in our city. With the number of trees we're planting, we had some pretty tired volunteers at the end of the day. But overall, they were all pretty minor challenges, and we worked through them pretty successfully. There's just a few photos of the day, some of the students from Barclay and the Community College of Baltimore City and the Hopkins field hockey volunteers that we had. And that's just kind of an overview of how we approached using NeighborWoods and the resources available there here in Baltimore between two watershed organizations and the Parks and People Foundation to plant lots of trees last fall. So that was just in about probably 5 or 6 weeks worth of work was what it took to achieve the results that we did, which we thought was pretty amazing. So
fantastic. Thanks, Carrie.
Yes.
If Amy can open up the lines for questions and answers, please.
Thank you. At this time, if you would like to ask a question, please press *1. Be sure to unmute your phone and record your name clearly. If you'd like to withdraw the request, you may do so by pressing *2. Again, if you would like to ask a question at this time, please press *1. One moment.
And I'll also mention that you can ask a question either that way over the phone, or you can type your question in online now or as the presentation goes along, and I'll come on and read your question for you. In one of the upper tabs you see it says Q&A, so you can feel free to type it in there. But I'll start by saying that my mom came to this planting, and she has no idea really what I do, or didn't really have an idea. This could have confused her more since I don't really plant trees very often. But it was a fantastic event to sort of show my mom what I did, so thanks to Parks and People. I also noticed that, Johns Hopkins University field hockey team, and there was a fraternity whose name I'm misplacing, were so critical in not only just being massive numbers of volunteers, they kind of brought a great spirit to the day, and I think that was kind of critical to the experience as well. So do you have any tips on how to engage groups like that, especially in terms of coming out in the kinds of force that they did?
Because of the fact that we did the project on the Hopkins site, that was really helpful. Our main point of contact, Davis Bopard at Hopkins, was really great at putting the word out. He works in the Office of Sustainability, so he has this kind of a connection to the students that are interested in tree planting, and he was able to recruit a lot of those volunteers. And again, working with the partners, we each had relationships with some volunteer groups that we'd worked with over time. And the Jones Falls Watershed Association, it was perfect for them to do the volunteer recruitment role because they work with those sorts of groups so often on a monthly or bi-monthly basis doing invasive species removal. So they already had those existing relationships, so were really easy. It was easy for them to get their attention and get them out to that event. So, we had 3 organizations, volunteer groups to draw from, so it was so helpful to have such a big pool.
Okay. what were the relationships between the various agencies before the collaboration?
We would often work, two of us would get together and do partnerships often here and there. We would loan some equipment to Herring Run to do tree pit digging. We do small events here and there together, but at least in the last few years, we hadn't all three of us come together to do something large like this before. So it was always a good relationship. And the Jones Falls and Herring Run Watershed Associations, they're, again, geographically based. So, you can't do anything in the Jones Falls watershed while also doing it in the Herring Run watershed. So I know they supported each other with loaning equipment and tools, but had not, I think, worked on one physical site together in a very direct, intentional way.
Okay. Does the operator have any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. As people are formulating their questions, we'll move on because we're going to open the lines again for questions after the second presentation. But because we started late, I'll sort of cut it off at this point and move along to the next presentation. But like I said, you can come back if you have a question for Carrie. Hold on to it. You can ask it later, or you can type it in as we go along. So Adrienne Mendoza joined the staff of Savannah Tree Foundation in September 2006 as the communications director and manages all external communications, PR, and marketing. She has written for many publications, among them Savannah Magazine, Connect Savannah, Coastal Antiques and Art, Coastal Senior, and the New Georgia Encyclopedia. Adrienne holds a master's degree in historic preservation and a bachelor's degree in English literature, and has received formal training as a folklorist. And we turn it over to Adrienne. All right. Adrienne, your presentation come up all right? Oh, did we lose Adrienne?
Let me check her line. One moment.
Thanks. All right, well, while we wait for Adrienne, I'll sort of jump into a little bit more about NeighborWoods Month, which I was going to go after Adrienne, but I will skip ahead. So this year for NeighborWoods Month, we have a lot of the same tools that you might have seen last year with a few new additions, and I want to start with the website, which really should be the central hub for any of the information you're looking for regarding NeighborWoods Month, and we try to put everything out here that you'll need. We send a lot of materials out in the mail, but we also make an electronic copy of everything. For example, like the planning kit, you can download that and print up as many copies, or not print up if you're being good and green. But we put all of those things out on the website electronically. So this is a snapshot from last month's site, because right now we're making a few minor tweaks to it, so it looks a little different every day. But basically the same type things, or a very familiar layout. If you go to the event tools section, you'll see the downloadable resources like the online banners and the online ribbons, and I'll get into that a little bit later, some of the other electronic content that you can download. Some of the familiar tools like the door hangers and the posters and the banners, and all of those things you can see pictures of what they look like. And the real benefit here is that they're professionally designed. They're signed by a marketing firm with an eye for helping you to link your event to the national program. And that's really what we're talking about today, is leveraging that national program, showing that everyone's pushing at the same time during the year. So there should be a benefit to your organization of linking with the national campaign. We have a calendar out there. Anyone who sends in their event links to the national calendar. We keep track of all kinds of press releases and news stories and post them out in the press area, and we're also reaching out to local and national press and working with organizations to do that. We keep a stockpile of photos and other various information for media and sponsors. So again, use the website for your central information. This is a snapshot of what we did last year through NeighborWoods Month. And you can see there's been dramatic growth from 2005, which was the first year that NeighborWoods Month started. Again, these are events that you're either already doing or you're creating just for NeighborWoods Month, but the idea is that we're showing that we push all at the same time. So some of the challenge here is just bringing everyone on board with NeighborWoods Month at the same time. You can see last year we had 62 events with 72 organizations hosting 225 events. And probably the most important thing there is we had 35,000 volunteer hours, which is a tremendous leverage point when you figure that I think last year the rate for volunteer contribution was $18.44, which you can use to match with your grant. We had, when we take the trees that were planted and maintained and extrapolate that out into some of the more economic and community development type language, we can see that those trees are responsible for an incredible value of stormwater captured, air pollutants, energy savings is very important right now, and property value increases. We try to pay attention to actually what the property values were at the locations where those trees went in and try to get a fairly specific number there rather than just a general or generic number. But this is how we talk about what we do with the media. We talk about not just a tree planting event or not just trees, but why they're particularly important in the urban areas and how they interact with people. We offer several ways that we support organizations. We sort of touched on a few of these: posters, door hangers, kids cards. Last year we had the city of Denver requested some number of thousands of kids cards and went into every public school and used those as examples, and they thought they were fantastic, and that's probably one of our biggest sellers. But we also provide mini grants and some other resources, and we'll just sort of stop on this page for a while and hit on each of those individually. So you can see the look of the professionally designed materials and really how we've tried to leave spaces on each of these things where you can co-brand it with what you do. So if you're looking at the banner, there's lots of white space where you can go to your local printer and have your logo imprinted on there. If you're looking at the poster, actually that's the gift poster. We've got the poster that you can post all over town, and that whole bottom area from where it says Celebrate NeighborWoods Month 2007 on down is blank white space so that you can print on where your event is and what time and other various information. The door hangers come on sheets that are 8.5 by 11, and the whole backside is blank, so you can print up information that's specific to the trees and your location. So we really do try to make it so that it's nationally branded, but also so that you can locally brand things. We have a new T-shirt this year. I don't have a picture of it up there for you yet. That's last year's T-shirt, but it'll be a somewhat familiar look. What we're trying to promote this year is biodiversity. So our theme this year is Mix It Up, Celebrate Diversity. And we're offering a special T-shirt mini grant for organizations. You can order up to 25 T-shirts for free. If you want to then use your mini grant, we're also offering a $500 mini grant, and the T-shirts are $4 each after that, and you can use that to leverage, 125 more T-shirts. So you could really get a sea of T-shirts out there through some of the grants that we're offering. But with our mini grant, we really try to promote how you can do something that you wouldn't otherwise spend your money on, and that's the crux of the mini grant. So a lot of groups wouldn't spend money on taking out a spot in a newspaper to advertise their event. You can do that through a mini grant. We mentioned the T-shirts. You can, not everyone orders T-shirts. You can do that. You could hire a babysitter to watch the kids while their parents are planting, or hire a clown, or something, again, that you wouldn't otherwise do usually, and we try to be pretty flexible with that. But that's another benefit of NeighborWoods Month. We offer a planning kit, which for newer organizations or for anyone who's not hosted a NeighborWoods Month event, hopefully has some of the templates and timelines that are most important, like when to reach out to media and a volunteer certificate, or what a sample press release might look like. For some groups, they don't need those things, but we really try to play to a broad interest of people. So that should be sort of like the website, something that you can come back to somewhat frequently. Last year we tried something new with focus events. So the two groups that we're hearing from today, Parks and People and Savannah Tree Foundation, were both focus events where as we're pushing together, we really take a couple groups and highlight to national and local media sort of the crux of what NeighborWoods Month is all about. And if anyone's interested in being a focus event, you think you've got a project that fits that billing, get in contact with me and we can talk about that further. A lot of us are trying to engage a younger audience, a very different audience, and we've put together Facebook and MySpace and other Web 2.0 resources. Those are linked out on our website. We also put together a brochure of how to use those things if you're new to that. So I can tell you more about that as well. We have a photo contest where you can earn $500 for the organization. And new this year, we're probably going to have some awards, like a Volunteer of the Year award, where you can nominate your local volunteer to be the national winner. So there are lots of resources, and I'm sort of cruising through this pretty quickly because we got started late. But NeighborWoodsMonth.org is where you can see all of these things. You can order all of them. You can send me an email for more questions as well. So with that, I'll take any questions you have. But like I said, NeighborWoodsMonth.org is where most of that is. So if Amy can open up the line.
Yes, thank you. At this time, if you would like to ask a question, please press *1. And be sure to unmute your phone and record your name. If you would like to withdraw the request, press *2. Again, if you would like to ask a question, please press *1 now. One moment.
And did Adrian make it back on the line?
I'm here. Can anybody hear me?
Perfect. Yep.
Okay.
Right. So we'll give a sec for questions, and otherwise you'll be up next. Anything from the operator?
No, Mr. Leo, we don't have any questions at this time.
Okay, perfect. Well, let's move on to Adrian. And Adrian, I'll put your presentation up.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yep. All right.
Looks like I got disconnected the first time, so I apologize for that. I'm happy to be here today on behalf of the Savannah Tree Foundation. If you look in the top right-hand corner, you'll see one of those web banners that Jared may have mentioned. You can utilize on your website when you're working with NeighborWoods Month events. Certainly want to tell you just a little bit briefly about the Tree Foundation. We've planted over 2,000 trees since our tree planting program began. We steward a forest called Bacon Park Forest, and we also do a lot of public policy and advocacy work, as well as educational outreach, public programs, and special events. And we do best management practices through workshops, trainings. I'll tell you about one of those. And then one of the things that we do is we try and tell everybody about it through our communications. So for NeighborWoods Month in 2007, we did 3 major dates with a bunch of different activities, as you can see. The first one was the Bacon Park Forest Discovery Walk on October the 7th. And that actually is a great event that we do usually on a monthly basis when it's not too hot out here down in Savannah, Georgia. The slides are a little bit slow, so if they're going slow for you, I apologize. We did have some difficulty uploading it. The photo that you see here to the left, that's Patrick Grant. He's an ISA certified arborist, and he's also our program director, so he manages all of our tree plantings. We do the monthly walks in Bacon Park Forest to draw attention to that particular project that we have. It's an ongoing project that we've been working on for a number of years to eventually create natural walking trails throughout the forest. The second event we did was on October the 20th, and on the top right-hand corner again you'll see another web banner. I just tried to put those in there for fun so you guys could see the kinds of things that you can use to draw attention to your events. This event, 120 Years of Trees on Tybee, is actually a tree planting event that we got a grant from the Alliance for Community Trees and the Home Depot Foundation. We got a National NeighborWoods grant to plant trees out in Tybee Island, which is an area that's kind of been suffering from gentrification and has a fair number of problems keeping trees on it, being so close to the ocean and with all of the harsh conditions that are out there. What ended up happening is we had a ceremonial tree planting a week before, on the Saturday before we actually did the full tree planting, which was a much larger event. And what we did is we tied in our tree planting, our ceremonial tree planting, with an event that they had already scheduled out on Tybee Island to celebrate their 120th birthday. So when we approached them for the grant project purposes and talking about planting trees out there, they were happy to have us out at this birthday event, and it ended up being our big media event. So you can see that we had plenty of dignitaries. Those are all the VIPs in this photo right here who came to the ceremonial tree planting. I said you can learn from the arrows here. The best thing would be to have everybody in the photo, but you live and learn. So we wouldn't have people behind the trees next time, but that happens. It happens to everybody. The same day, we did a booth at what they called the Celebrate Tybee Festival. And this is our booth right there. We had some volunteers from our board talking to people who would come by and encouraging them to come back the next week to the tree planting that was going to be held on the 27th. So we planted 3 trees on this day with all of the folks who were from, the bigwigs and the VIPs. They came out en masse, and of course so did the media, which is what we wanted. And then we had the event the next day, the next week. This is the cake from the Celebrate Tybee Festival party. And this is one of the points that I wanted to make. If you can piggyback your event on something else that's going on where there's going to be a lot of people out there. In this case, we utilized it where there was a fun festival type of atmosphere, and we said, oh, we can do this. We can have a booth there. We can do the ceremonial tree planting. This is going to get everybody interested. And sure enough, the next week we had a large number of people from Tybee come on out to help us plant the trees. And that's what happened on October the 27th. We had the actual tree planting. We planted actually over 120 trees at 3 different sites on the island. This is the group of people that were left toward the end of the day. Usually they go from about 9 a.m. until 12 or 1-ish, depending on how long it takes. So these are the folks that stuck around for the group photo afterwards. And one of the things you might notice, if you look, you can see all those orange, the work belts that came, and those were part of the NeighborWoods Month event packages. So those were great giveaways. People really, really, really loved them. They put them on immediately, and they started walking around. On the same day, we had a crew of volunteers from our board and membership who went out to Bamboo Farms, which is on the other side of the city here. They were having a fall festival, and they're another organization that we've been partnering with to do different things over time. This was an educational outreach opportunity. Of course, you can see that Charlie Brown and Lucy came along. I didn't actually have some great photos of that because I was out at Tybee. So what does NeighborWood do for you? That's really what I wanted to kind of talk to you about. I think the great thing that it allowed us to do was to create new partnership opportunities with some very big organizations. The city of Tybee Island, I think we had worked with them possibly in one tree planting before that, but not on anything as large as this. And we obviously partnered with the Home Depot Foundation and the Alliance for Community Trees, through whom we got the grant. We involved employees from the local Home Depot stores. There are 2 different stores that helped us out with this. And the other thing that it does is it really cements your reputation as nationally important with your local existing partners. So we have partners that we've used in a lot of our tree plantings and other events kind of continually, but I think that this raised the profile, and it showed that we could get the kind of press and marketing and media attention that people who are giving you money to sponsor your events want to know that you can produce. So Malabar Inc. is one of our local partners, and of course Georgia Power has been very good to us over the years. Partnering with ACT, it also gives you really great benefits. Jared talked a little bit about those things that you can get through the Alliance for Community Trees. One of them is a $500 mini grant, which we applied for and we got. You can utilize the communications kit that ACT puts together. It makes it so much easier for you as a marketing or communications person. Anybody on your staff who does that, they can utilize those materials, customize them, and then send them out. And when you're working with large partners like this, the media just comes flocking to it. And you really do have to beat it down. You have to do the work. And I did a lot of work for it, but the return on it was phenomenal. And the third thing is you just get tons and tons of free goodies, things that you can utilize. We had the banner up at the Celebrate Tybee booth. We had that, obviously, you saw it with the group photo where we had all the VIPs and stuff like that. We utilized the posters. We actually paid people, we hired a couple of people on Tybee to take the posters and the door hangers. We customized those, and we got them put up in prominent places throughout the city. And then they took the door hangers on the day before, the actual tree planting on October 27th, and hung those around people's doors, and people turned out. I'll tell you what, they worked. The kids' activity cards really are great. I can see why the city of Denver would order so many of them. And the tool belts, as I said, those were definitely utilized. We used everything that we could possibly get. These are just some photos to show you what we did. We hired a professional photographer. And we also, I don't know if you can tell, but we have these bumper stickers that we made, and then we wrapped them around the T-shirts that we got from ACT. We utilized the T-shirts to give to the VIPs who came to the ceremonial tree planting. The idea was that they would put them on, and then we would take the photos. That didn't happen, but it was something that we wanted to happen, and I think we learned from it, and in the future we would probably be able to do that. The big thing that it helps you to do is it draws media attention to your organization and to trees. And I think that that's a really, really incredible thing. We got over 20 separate press mentions for our organization and for our national partners, which was ACT and the Home Depot Foundation. That was pretty incredible. Another major thing that it allows you to do is plant more trees. It seems obvious, but when you get involved with NeighborWoods Month, it's something new and different. If you haven't done it before in your community, it's a national day that allows you to draw attention to planting trees, just like the National Arbor Day, or in some cases your state Arbor Day. And they allow you to do that. So it draws more media attention. That results in a higher level of community awareness and more trees in the long run. And we all want that. And then this photo, I just wanted to show you the kind of people that came. We had the Chatham County Commissioner on the top left. His name is Pete Lakakis. The woman in the orange is Terry Morton. She's an assistant, I think, program director with the Home Depot Foundation in Atlanta. She came out from Atlanta for the tree planting. We had Eric Johnson, who's a state senator. He's in the middle top. And on the bottom right, we had the mayor of Tybee Island, Jason Bulterman, and our United States Senator, Jack Kingston. And on the top right is a Tybee Island Councilman, Paul Wolf. And I think we had probably almost all of the council members from Tybee Island there for the ceremonial tree planting. And then we had a fair number show up the week after to actually help do the work, including the mayor. In 2008, our plans include a Bacon Park Forest Discovery Walk. We'll be doing that on October the 19th. And we're going to be going back to Bamboo Farms this year on October 25th to unveil plans for a new nursery that we're working on out there. And we're going to be soliciting volunteers to help us with establishing the nursery and establishing a pool of trees for future tree plantings. And the last thing that we're going to be doing is kind of a follow-up to last year's events on Tybee. We'll be doing a poster contest with students at St. Michael's School, which is a private school on the island. And that's really all I had to tell you. Certainly there were great results. If you guys have questions about that, feel free to email me or ask questions right now. And thank you, Jared, for allowing me to do this.
Great. Thanks, Adrian.
Sure.
If the operator can open the lines for questions, please.
Certainly. At this time, if you would like to ask a question, please press star 1. If you would like to withdraw your request, press star 2. Again, if you have a question at this time, please press star 1. One moment.
Great. And one of the things I wanted to highlight about the Tybee Island events is that I think Savannah Tree Foundation did such a great job with getting a broad section of elected and appointed leaders there. And it costs nothing to them. In fact, they want to be involved in these things. It's a great image for them. They're reaching constituents. Sometimes they're reaching constituents they wouldn't otherwise reach. And so, they're in the district frequently. It probably doesn't take too long just to give their scheduler a call or the district office a call. I'll be like, is our U.S. rep going to be in town this day? We have a tree planting event. We'd like to give him or her a chance to say a few words. They jump at that opportunity, and I think Savannah Tree did a great job not only getting that level, but the state level reps and the city and county level. So kudos to them, and I really encourage everyone else to take advantage of those things as well. And one of the other things I wanted to mention that sort of crossed my mind as it came up is both of the events that were mentioned today were tree planting and maintenance events. And NeighborWoods Month doesn't even have to be that. It just has to be something that advocates for urban forestry. And we're going to run this same session next month. We're going to have two different speakers. So one of them is going to talk about how all they did was plant a ceremonial tree as far as tree planting, but they had a roundtable discussion where they brought developers in to talk about the challenges for them of trees, and then that organization got to talk to developers about some of their challenges with working with developers, and they had a great dialogue going on, and I think that advances urban forestry just as much. So it crossed my mind, slightly off topic, but doesn't have to necessarily be a tree planting or tree maintenance event. Let's see, someone asked, what's the deadline to apply for a mini grant? And what did we set it at? We said, so I'm looking through my notes to remember. I think it's September 15th is the deadline. So you still have a couple weeks. In order to apply for mini grant, you do have to register an event. There will be 3 steps. The first one will be event registration. Give as much detail as you can with where the event's going to be, what time volunteers are supposed to show up. And those details are very important because that's what we use in the press outreach. And those are the first questions that press always asks, and it's how they usually file their press releases. So that's important to know. The next step will be ordering supplies. So how many T-shirts and posters and such you want. And then the third step will be to apply for a mini grant. And I'll also say there's a field in there for just event details. Anything that's exciting, like we're going to have free food, or there will be a clown to entertain the kids, or the mayor's going to come. Anything that gives the event extra oomph, definitely put it in there because that'll help with putting together the press releases as well. All right. Does the operator have any questions?
Yes, we do. We do have a question from Mary Gaskins.
Yes. Good afternoon. I'm calling from Detroit, Michigan.
Go ahead.
Yes. We are an education program here in Detroit, and we have a lot of vacant lots. And we want to get our middle school students engaged into the program more so than the adult population, because we're trying to sell the concept of trees maturing with them.
So your question is how to sell that?
No, how do we get totally involved? We set the information in, and however, if we had known the information we knew now, our whole proposal would be totally different.
So you want to submit a new proposal?
Well, we'd rather have the one to review, and then if we do, we would like to have that opportunity to change our proposal.
Okay, I'll take a look.
K8, we're a member and the organizer, Keep American, Great American Cleanup out of Stamford, Connecticut. We are the organizer for the city of Detroit.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the operator?
Once again, if you would like to ask a question, please press star 1. One moment.
And I did see a question. Someone was asking, now it's gone, as far as, Adrian, how you got the U.S. rep involved.
We sent invitations to his office. I remember that we crafted letters and sent the letters, and I think we followed that up with phone calls. And we have had some experience with Mr. Kingston's office in the past. I don't know that, I can't recall whether he's ever been to a tree planting, not in my time, other than this one. But I think that the fact that it was kind of piggybacked onto this other event where there was going to be a large population of people out there for the festival, and the ceremonial tree planting was a part of that in celebration of the birthday, the 120th birthday of Tybee. To me, that's one of the clinchers in terms of getting elected officials out there, because they know they're not going to get a small audience. They anticipate that they're going to have a large audience, and in fact they did for that. So I think that was pretty particular to the event, and I would encourage other people to look at how you can do that in your own community.
Great. Someone else is asking the question generally. It sounds like they got the impression that NeighborWoods Month has to be a whole month worth of events,
Mm-hmm.
just because Parks and People had several events, and the Tybee Island with several events. And I want to emphasize it can be just a single event. Maybe it was I should have included someone who just did a single event or smaller event in this lineup. I went with two organizations who were focus events last year. But absolutely, one event, it can be as large or small as fits your needs. Something, like I said again, we're all pushing at the same time, and on a local level, it might be 20 trees, and it just might be another tree planting event to the local media. But when we do it as a national group and we pull together those collective impacts, then it really starts to resonate more. So absolutely, it can be a small event. Absolutely, it can be a single event.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be a whole month worth of
events. This is Carrie, and I can say that the one event that we really created and put together for NeighborWoods was the kickoff event. The majority of the other projects and tree planting events we did and tree maintenance events were things that we were all likely to have done regardless. It was stuff that we already did. We just we included them. We kind of talked about them in the context of NeighborWoods, which is something we hadn't done before, and we included them in that collective calendar of events. And that strategy really made it so that we could have a NeighborWoods campaign without having to add additional work to what we were already planning on doing. We just selected those NeighborWoods appropriate events that we were doing, maybe made a little bit more effort to do more, and then really focused on doing this big, large-scale kickoff event. So.
I think I would echo that for the Tree Foundation, that the main event that we were doing for NeighborWoods Month had to do with the tree planting on Tybee, and then everything else that we kind of added in was either something that we might do anyway, and we utilized the NeighborWoods banner as a way to draw attention to urban and community forestry, or in some cases it was a value-added thing where we were doing, I don't think I put it up there, but we did a tree care and maintenance workshop for the employees of Tybee Island's Department of Public Works, where we had our arborists go out and talk about how to cut trees and maintain them properly, so that some of the trees that we ended up planting were replacement trees for trees that had died because of improper cuts and things like that. So we tried to add into it, but the main focus was really the tree planting, and it just worked out that there was a ceremonial tree planting on one day that we knew would be a big media event and draw attention to what we were doing the next week.
Okay. Any questions to the operator?
No, there are not.
And what's the code again, please?
The code for the conference?
Oh,
I'm sorry. To ask the question, it's *1.
*1. All right. It looks like Becca Fong is raising her hand electronically. I can answer, or I can read your question if it's online, or if you hit *1, you can signal to the operator that you'd like to come on the phone and ask a question. So if you have a question and you hit *1, then she can grab that. Okay, maybe she dropped off. Okay, so well, if you have questions afterwards, you can email me. I can forward them on to the presenters, or the presenters have given their contact information as well, so you can get in touch with them.
Mr. Leo, this is the operator, and I did poll the participants, and I don't show any questions at this time.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so the last thing then is if everyone could take just a couple minutes to answer a quick survey. It's up on the screen now, and your answers help us to refine these calls, and I would really appreciate it. Otherwise, like I said, we are going to run this session again. It's going to be on September 11th. We'll have two different speakers. We'll have Patrice Sheehan from the Delaware Center for Horticulture and Claudia Schenk from Tennessee Environmental Council. Otherwise, I want to thank Carrie and Adrian very much for presenting, and also want to thank all the participants who listened and our sponsors, the Home Depot Foundation and the USDA Forest Service. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jared.